Hey guys, welcome back. In this video we finally get the Audi TT seats into the Corrado and they are plug and play, so I can slide these out, I can put the original Corrado seats back in, or I can sell them, or I can do whatever I want, but they will fit into anyone else's Corrado or even a Mark II Golf or Mark I Golf. So I'm absolutely delighted with them. So this is how I did it. If you think I did it right or wrong, leave a comment down in the comment section below. So let's get straight into the video. How did I get Audi TT seats into my Corrado? Okay, new plan. We got a set of, I don't know, Jetta or Mark II something seats, but they were a very cheap seat. And we just roll that over. The seat's fairly damaged. There's a little bit of glass in it as well, so be careful with the hands. Okay, so continuing on from what I've learned so far is, well, really just break down the project into the most simplest steps. What do I need? So I really need this piece here that goes in the back. I really need this piece here that goes in the back for the sliders. I need this one here and probably this bar here. So if I just cut only these pieces off, forget about the rest of the seat, unless you weld this piece here, if I could just cut that off and weld that straight onto the back of the TT seat, I can then set the height of what I want it to be. So let's do that. And we are back with the Corrado project. So we're putting these Audi TT Mark I seats into our Corrado. So I think from last week people didn't quite understand what I'm doing. I'm putting these seats into this car. They came with absolutely no rails, so there's not like I can use the original TT rails. I didn't get them. So that's why I'm making these seats. I didn't want to cut up any of the floor area. I want them to sit really low. So that's why I'm not using any of the TT rails, and I'm not going out to buy TT rails. So I want these seats to sit really low. I also want to be able to take them out, put the original Corrado seats back in, or put them into another Corrado. So that's why they're kind of like plug and play. So one thing I hate about all Volkswagen Mark IIs and Mark Is, and especially the Corrado, is when the seat starts rocking. So when you're sitting on the seat, you can feel it moving backwards and forwards. So my little clips here, they're all just starting to break up, and you can see the rubber here is absolutely solid. So I got a new rubber just there and two new clips. The clips will sit here and on the inside here, and they'll allow everything to slide forwards and backwards, and it'll take that rocking out of the seats. They were very cheap, buy them off eBay. So next step, we are taking out these little clips. You pull the plunger out of the center and then you get a screwdriver in behind them, and they will just pop up like that. You take them out there, and then it'll allow the base seat here to come off the frame. Okay, so just before cutting the legs here and here off the Jetta seat, I welded a bar in between them, which would keep them level and parallel to each other. Then we took the legs just down here and welded them onto the bottom of the Corrado seat, making sure that measurement on both sides was the exact same. So the seat is now sitting level, so it's not one side or the other, and it'll now slide nice and easy backwards. Well, it does when you have two hands. Next, taking the measurement from the flat face here. That flat face is exactly in the middle of the seat, so it's halfway between here and here. So now we knew this measurement here where it could line up. So I actually cut this piece here off the original Jetta seats. So this little line here is this weld line here. So that's right in the middle. And then from here to here and from here to here is where that little clip would go that this is going to rotate on. So that's how you know you get the straight line. So basically that would sit, yeah, like that there, but obviously from underneath. So when we cut this piece here off, we could line this up here, drill through these two holes here and drill straight into the new frame. That would give us the reference points for the new screws. So then when the screws go through, the little clip can go back on, and it means that this now is in the right place. So coming back this way, we now have to decide where's this point here going to be. So from last week's video, I said I cut a little hole here which allowed the bar to move forwards and backwards. So we did kind of the same thing, but we brought it more forwards, and this is where the clip here would be at the front, this obviously at the back of the car, and this line here where these pieces here are cut out, that's where the handle would rotate to allow you to slide the seat forwards and backwards. So I moved it up here where there's loads of empty space. So yes, you can see it's quite short, but that was the idea, that it's out of the way, where back here the seat's going up and down because there's a suspension in the rear seat of the TT, so that's why this has to be quite far forward. So again, I kept a little tie over that this all rotates on. So what did I do to this? Well, obviously I had to cut it because it's quite long. It was all the way back to here, so I cut that big section out of it, re-welded it back here again. So now it's this length, but I had to get around everything here, so I ended up, for the piece I cut out back here, I ended up welding it back into here by cutting the handle off and moving the handle really far forward, because the handle was just barely up here, and on the front of the TT seat, which is just here, it was like literally just in the way. So by moving it all the way forwards like it is there now, it was well out of the way, and it doesn't hit the vent as well. That was the other thing. So yeah, it's out of the way. I know I had to add in a piece there. It doesn't need to be there. I thought it should just be there just to give it the extra strength. I also had to notch it just there as well. You can kind of see the notch, because when it's all the way up, I was afraid it would be hitting off the frame, and I didn't want to cut the frame. So this bar isn't superly important. All it does is releases the lock. So when you're driving, the lock is going to be pushed in here, so that seat is locked in position. It can't move. So even if that bar snapped, the lock is still there. So the seat's not going to slide forwards and backwards. And there's enough resistance with your body weight on it and everything. It's not going to move too much anyway. So yeah, that's all now in the right position. So really happy how it swings and everything. So there was a lot of measurements, a lot of calculations to make sure that was lovely and flat. And we put the pin in, which is just here, and that'll slide in there and lock in when the two eyes line up. So this is my seating position here, and I have an extra one to move forward if I want to be any way closer. Obviously there's a long way back. When we have the lock here, that'll stop you sliding the seat any more further back. That leg there are still inside the rails, so that sets how far forwards and backwards you can really be. I have it set there, it's as correct as I'm going to have it. You probably could get away with moving it a little further back, but like, you want fairly long legs, and I don't have that long legs, so it doesn't really bother me. And yeah, so where did these legs sit? Like, how do I know I have them in the right position? Because the seat buckle here, and this is a Mark III seat, or another Mark II, but this style here is from a Mark III, and the other calculation I took it was about 4 fingers in. You can do that. That's about in the right position. So I have the seat buckle now in the right position because it's attached to the bottom of the legs. So if that's in the right position, well then everything else must be in the right position to match it. So that's kind of how I went with it. So yeah, really happy how that all turned out. Now this piece here, I had to add in this stabilizing bar here to give that some strength, because otherwise it was just floating there in the middle of nothing. I can't really link it left and right because the seat is moving up and down. So if I go straight down the middle, there's like a tunnel in the back of the TT seat. You can see it there. So it makes sense to continue it straight back. So that's why that's there. I will probably dress this all up and make it much nicer. Everything is seam welded in, but I will gusset everything, so make a little plate from a triangle up to here. Triangle that. Probably make this a little bit neater as well. Cut off all the excess metal that I don't actually need, but keep everything nice and tight, and obviously everything is going to be painted as well. So yeah, people say, right, you make the seats unroadworthy because you can't drive in them because now you've after cutting everything. If you look at actual Mark II seats from any Corrado, Mark II Golf, Jetta, even the Mark I's, they're literally just tack welded, and it's actually scary if you look at, turn them upside down and have a really good look at them. They're very, very simple. They're literally tack welded. There's a bar that goes across here. It's kind of like just tack welded either side. There's nothing seam welded all the way out. I know there is a big bar that comes across here, but by the time you have that really well welded up and made a gusset out of it, it's not going to go anywhere. So yeah, that's it so far. Let's put the lid back on, or the base, and see how it sits. To reattach the seat, don't forget to put in your springs. That's what the whole TT suspension in the seats is for. So that's one spring. I'm going to put the second spring in there. I can't remember, is it big coil, small coil? is it small coil, big coil, but whatever way it is, I'll check it on my own TT. But they're in now. Unless someone knows the answer, leave it in the comment section down below. So right, that's that on. Let's get the base on and see what the angles now are like. Because when you sit in these seats, you don't want your feet up in the air or really down flat. You want a nice bit of rake that is very comfortable to sit on, because the worst thing about putting modified seats into any car is if they're uncomfortable, because over a long journey, if the back of your knees, if they're not supported, the seats will feel really awkward to drive on. Okay, we have the seats now in and the suspension's working. So let's get into these in and check them out. Oh yeah, that feels much better. So yeah, I can still push the pedal when I'm driving. A little bit of support just underneath my knee. And for everyone that said, oh, those TT seats, they're way too tall. Look at that. They're not. So by doing this, I've made the seats as low as possible. So even if someone really tall got in, there's still loads of headroom just there. You can see it there, yeah. So in my other Corrado, when I sat into it, I could just put my fist like that, and there's literally no room. So I'd be like, it'd be just sitting there quite tight. So this one, when I'm sitting there like that, yep, there's still a bit of room there. So yeah, I'm really happy how this project turned out. I honestly didn't know whether this was going to work or not. So I literally got these seats so cheap. I was like, even if it doesn't work, it's not costing me anything. And yeah, people keep saying, oh, like, you know, you could buy like Ricardo's, or you could buy something else that would fit better. And like, on 50 quid. That's as much that I spent on this project. 50 quid, and the sliders or the little rubbers that slide on the seat, I would have had to buy them anyway for no matter what seats I put into it. So probably 55 quid is what this project has cost me. So obviously, if you don't weld and if you don't have calculations and you didn't know what you were doing, it's going to take you a shitload of time. But yeah, I'm really delighted how it worked out, because like I now have TT seats in my Corrado. And like people say, oh, the TT seats aren't as comfortable, like, you know, the Corrado seats are way more comfortable, why don't you use them? I wanted black leather seats, to be honest, and I wanted them heated, so either heated black leather seats, super cheap. I'm not spending €1,000 or even more on Ricardo's or on Corrado leather seats, because I think they're overpriced, and they are. Yeah, these fit really nice. There is bolster to them. You can see it there. There's a bolster. So they do hug you, and they hug you down here as well. And to be honest, I don't think they're an upgrade from the Corrado seats, but I don't think they're a downgrade from the Corrado seats either. When you have a seat in a car and you don't know whether you've done it right or wrong, there's two things to know. One is the angle at which your bottom to your knees is sitting. So when you sit on a seat, if you take a spirit level or an angle finder, and it'll tell you the actual angle. I use my phone and use the angle finder on it. On the Corrado, I think it was 20 degrees. Like, it'll vary because it'll depend on where the seat is, because not every seat is like perfectly level. Like, they kind of go up and down in ridges. And when you sit on a seat, you'll also change the angle, and like if it's a flat wheel or like, you know, different things like that. Different suspension will also change the angle, but like overall, it's been 15 and 22 degrees. So these seats are, I think, coming in at 20 degrees. So it changes because when I sit on the seat, obviously, like, different body weights will push down the seat and pull it up as well when there's no one sitting on the seat. But yeah, they're been 15 and 22. So this is, I think, hitting at 20. In the Corrado, if I was sitting on the seat and I took it in the right place, I could hit the exact same degrees. If you change it in a different position, you get, say, different measurement. So they're as close as I can. The best way to figure it out is sit in the seat for about 20 minutes, 20-25 minutes. Like, go on your phone, watch YouTube videos, subscribe to all my videos. But press the pedals when you're doing it. And if the seat angle is wrong, more than likely you'll have a pain in your leg, or you'll have a pain in your back, or you'll feel yourself that you're sliding slightly to one side or the other, or you're too far down, or there's not enough rake, or there's too much rake. And just hold the steering wheel and just sit in the car. Obviously, you'll watch my videos, and you'll feel it in your body if it is the right seat for you or the right angle that you've put in. If it's wrong, you cut the weld, you extend, you take a piece in, you take a piece out, you do whatever you have to do, and you'll actually feel your body saying, no, you know, the seat isn't perfect straight. It's slightly to one side or the other. Like, if I was driving and I was coming out of a junction, I'd turn left or turn right, or I was like racing someone and you're changing gears or you're just cruising, like, you'll know yourself whether the seat is actually straight or slightly crooked, or is it at the right angles or not. So yeah, that's probably the best advice I'm going to give anyone. Just sit in the seat and just see what it's like. So yeah, I didn't know if these seats were actually going to work. I just took a gamble on it. Is it going to, you spend enough time and you weld anything enough together, it'll probably work. So yeah, I'm actually really happy with the seats. So if you like this video, give a thumbs up, comment down below, tell me what are those seats there. They're German, if that's any help. Yeah, I don't know what else I can tell you. Like, yeah, subscribe. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you later.